We're continuing a series on this channel where I rank every single front office in the NBA from worst to best. And at number 24, it's the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors were one of the more well-managed teams in the NBA for the better part of the 2010s, but I have no idea what Masai was cooking at the end of his tenure. Seriously, what is a core of RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley? What are any of those guys supposed to do when they don't have the ball in their hands? This team doesn't make any sense, and the state in which he left them is genuinely hilarious. The Colin Murray-Boyles pick made no sense. The lack of shooting on this roster makes no sense. The Jakob Poeltl contract makes no sense. I'm not mad necessarily at the price tag annually. I honestly think $107 million over 5 years for a good center, for an average center, for a solid center in a lot of ways who's unselfish is an okay price for Jakob Poeltl, but you want him for 5 years? You don't think you're going to get a better center for 5 years? You could have drafted a better center this year. May I introduce you to Kama Malawach, who's going to be a defensive player of the year in 2029. Instead, CMB is going to be buried on the bench for pretty much the whole season because he can't get minutes on this team with no shooting. He's completely redundant, and it sucks because he's gonna be so good. He's gonna be so good. You waited too long to trade Pascal Siakam and got basically nothing for him. The OG Anunoby trade, although I don't hate it for the Raptors because I like the players they got individually, having now made more trades for ball-dominant guards, that trade was super gimmicky and doesn't really make sense now. And they haven't empowered Scottie Barnes at all to be the #1 guy, the franchise guy on this team, because they haven't given him the sorts of players that he needs. Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter were nice draft picks, but these guys are not even going to crack the starting lineup because you gave Brandon Ingram like $150 million to isolate in the mid-range and hit turnaround fadeaway middies. I love Brandon Ingram. In a vacuum, he's a very cool player. He does not belong on this team. He does not remotely belong in Toronto. I don't even think having cornrows in the cold is good for your hair. His scalp is going to be dry. Masai was such a funny GM because we talk about a lot of players who farm aura, who are like aura merchants, especially if you're like a UFC fan. You can name like 10 fighters who are aura merchants in the UFC. I'm looking at you, Peyton Talbot. But in the NBA, I didn't think that there were general managers who farmed aura to maintain their persona as good GMs. Masai Ujiri did that after the Kawhi Leonard trade, and this is the result. A mediocre team with like no direction and no logic in the creation of the roster that just doesn't make sense. Not a fan of where the Raptors are going, and they're going to have to make some serious moves or be seriously creative in the way that they structure their offense and defense if they want to be a playoff team next year. Like and follow if you agree with my takes, and let me know what you guys think of the Toronto Raptors down below.